Ladies and gentlemen of YouTube, it is time for one more Metal Earth kit of the Halo series. The last one, the Warthog. I've done the Pelican, the Mantis, and Master Chief's helmet. Now it is time to crack this open and complete the collection. So, let's tear into this thing and see what we have. Warthog. The usual 2 sheets and instructions. Oh my. This is kind of a newer style, like the Transformers. Very interesting. I wonder if they've redesigned them. This one is 2 pieces of paper, like the Transformers kits. You have your Metal Earth. It's like they took the 4 quarters and spread them out, 2 quarters per page. So that's kind of cool. Starters here, you have the usual first quarter in the other directions, and this it's, the black and white outline diagram. Talks about the tabs and holes and bends. Talks about needle nose pliers being useful, and they certainly are. And this talks about the blue circle represents where you bend over the tab 90 degrees. The green triangle means you twist it. And then you have the 2 layouts, maps, however you want to call it, of the sheets, so that you can find the parts. Each one of them is numbered. And this one is doing something different than any of the other Halo kits, and it's something that I've seen in the Transformers, whereas they've colored similar parts. Because before, what would often happen is you would have 2 or 3 duplicate parts, like 4 wheels. It's a car, it's a vehicle that has 4 wheels. They're all the same size. They would label one. Let's see, this is 36. But they wouldn't label the other 3. So you had to kind of find them for yourself. Now these wheels are pretty easy, but then you get into subtle differences, like this little blue part here. These are all the same, but then you have a red part which is very similar but slightly different. It's easy to get mixed up. But now these are color coded, so if you can find the one color, you can easily find the rest. Wonderful that they've done that. I wish they'd have done that in all of the kits. So perhaps this is an improvement. They've said, hey, let's do this to help people out. Great. Now this is the last kit I've gotten, so it may be that they've changed they've gone back and redone them, because originally I couldn't get the Halo. I had to wait for it. The other kits I got all at the same time. So who knows? Either way, here we are. We've got this much more appealing directions. And then it's labeled in pages. Page 1. Page 2 is where you begin with part 1. Part 2, 3, so on and so forth. Here's page 3. Here's page 3. And then slide over to page 4. And then the other sheet, open it up to the inside. Page 5 and 6, 7 and 8. So really, other than it being larger and better laid out, the other wonderful thing is the color coding for the parts. That's amazing. Plus, as you get farther in, especially towards the last page, you can keep this sheet open to where you can see this map and you'll be able to see where you're at, whereas the other instructions are just flipping back and forth. So that's a benefit. Let's take a moment to talk about the kind of tools I will be using. First up, we have the Metal Earth tool set with the long needle nose pliers, great for getting into areas, bending parts. A flat nose, great for even bending of parts. Clippers, which are really, to me, a necessity now for cutting parts off the tree. And then you have basic tweezers, not cheapo kinds, stiff kinds that are wonderful for bending tabs and doing other odd and end jobs. I also have some ring pliers that have rounded tips, which are good for rounding and shaping certain parts. And I have some forceps, locking forceps, which are great for locking on to small parts and holding them while you attach them. They're long and thin, so they're good for getting in tight areas. And I always have an assortment of dowel rods for rounded parts. This has wheels, so I can already see I may end up having to get a slightly bigger rod than this, but these are wonderful for round parts. Makes it so much simpler to assemble. And then something else I use quite frequently is a dental style pick for bending small areas, pulling out areas that have been in too far, small amounts of shaping. And I also like to have a pocket knife on hand, or some type of knife, not for cutting. It doesn't need to be sharp, but it's good for, oftentimes I find that tabs are close to the sides of other parts, so this is good to wedge in there and bend them over, either to bend them at 90 degrees or to bend them out so you can grab them with something else and twist them. But sometimes the areas and clearances are even too small for tweezers. It's time to get started.
This build starts off with a lot of shaping. The box on the back of the steering wheel is tiny. I had to use the locking clamps to hold on to it while I lined up the tabs. I waited to bend down the dash until after I'd attached the steering wheel. I realized at this point that I had missed a bend on the back half where this part attaches. There are two 45-degree bends and not just one 90-degree bend. Be sure to use pliers to hold on to this part when you bend it at the fold. It is so tiny it will warp instead of bend. You will also need to straighten the tabs so that they will line up with the slots. The camera accidentally cut out the shaping of the other side of this gun. It's pretty simple. Just bend over some side pieces and attach a strip that has been partially curved. Just use a dowel rod to curve the strip. I noticed as I was wrapping up this video I had missed one part 17 on the inside back of the bed. Because of the angle of this section and the size of the edges, I had a hard time with these bends. I should have started off with a different side. I had a real tough time with the axle. The hard part is connecting the one tab at each end. The space between the tab and the slots is very short and tight. The instructions seem to indicate to bend the tab at 90 degrees, but after considerable tries, I suggest going for more than 90 degrees. Once the tab is through, I suggest squeezing it down real tight to secure it. It was tough for my eyes to see the tabs in the bed of this Warthog. I do not have the best eyes though. Unfortunately, I spent so much time fiddling with the second axle that the camera died. It goes together the same as the first. Again, I suggest bending the two tabs that connect the end pieces more than 90 degrees before trying to bend over and attach. Oops, I bent the plate wrong. This video has been edited down to a shorter version. I try to clip out the sections where I'm searching for parts, studying directions, and sometimes repetitive steps while trying to keep relevant information. I also clip parts where I have to try and adjust several times to make them fit, twist tabs again because I missed, etc, etc. It may make it look like this kit comes together easily, but there was a lot of bending and adjusting of parts and tabs to make things fit. Work slowly and be patient. These kits do take time. didn't pay enough attention to the instructions to see that there were two different numbers for the tires and two different numbers for the wheels. I thought they were all just the same, clipped them out and assembled them. I'm not sure what the difference was, but it didn't seem to be one to me. I used two dowel rods to bend over the tires. One was about the right size so that the tires did not bend too much in one spot. The other was a little smaller so that I could have room to attach and hook the tab before rolling it over on the desk. Then bend over all the little panels on the inside of the wheels. Before you put the wheels on, check to make sure that the box at the end of the axle is square and the tabs are all pointed straight out. This will make the wheel go on much easier.
Introducing the Warthog, the last of the Halo Metal Earth kits. I enjoyed building this one. I think probably because it's car-like, and I used to build, when I was younger, a lot of model cars. So this was fun for me. The framing and the bodywork and the I don't know how to explain it, was just more enjoyable making a vehicle, a car, which I haven't done in a very long time. Now I will say that this guy looks like he's actually seen some battle. The wheels are not perfectly straight, and again I'm a little surprised that I made it through this kit without breaking anything. A YouTuber had commented on one of my older videos that they had tried to build the Warthog and broke the axle and threw it away. Now I see why. The axle on this is very tricky. It's a very tight bend where you have to attach a tab, and in the directions it says to bend the tab 90 degrees, or it shows it bent at 90 degrees, and I found that that's not quite enough. You really need to, what worked for me anyway, is to bend it, instead of at a 90 degree angle, a little bit more than, so that you could hook the part in and then pinch it down. It is such a tight curve, the pieces are so small that hook together, and there's very little room to play with, and so it makes a difficult connection. And there's two on each axle, one on one corner and one on the other, and I'll show in the directions what I'm talking about. But at first I didn't understand exactly how this folded up, and I didn't fold it up enough, and it can trick you the way it comes together to make you think that the axle is more open than what it is. But once I figured out the second one was a little bit easier, and I think I may have actually missed recording part of that because of a camera problem, and then I do apologize. But just keep in mind that into that tab, that one connecting tab where the side folds up, and each corner bend it more than 90 degrees, and that should help. And be ready with some pliers or tweezers or something to squeeze that down to hold it into place once you do. And it may take a few tries. The difficult part, aside from being difficult to get that tab into place, you don't want to bend things so many times that it breaks, and I'm betting that's what happened to this other person. They thinking it nearly happened to me. But I managed to pull it off amazingly. And there's so many small parts and trim pieces, and you've got the gun and the antenna and this front piece that some of them ended up getting crushed from me trying to hold on and put other parts on and squeeze tabs, squeeze parts together to get to the tabs, and I had to bubble this back out, and these side pieces kept getting in the way, and the antenna got flattened down shortly after I stood it up, and I was like, leave it that way. When I'm done, I'll stick it back up, because if I keep bending it, flatten it, bend it, and flatten it, it's going to break off. So amazingly, I made it through it. If you're wanting to do the Halo kits, as I said in the helmet video, the Master Chief helmet, start with that. If you haven't done any, start with the Master Chief's helmet. I would suggest probably then after that go with the Pelican. And as far as the Mantis and this, I'd say probably Mantis, save this one for last because of those axles, because of the difficulty of it. If I was to say to somebody who's never done Metal Earth before, start with the Master Chief helmet, go for the Pelican, go for the Mantis, and then go for this, and good luck. If you have any questions, any comments, please leave them down below. Thank you for watching. Keep on keeping on.